Good morning, all of you. Have a nice day. Welcome back to our virtual class of English. So, we are back again with a new poem, and the name of the poem is How to Tell Wild Animals. Okay, now, see, students, in the month of April, we were with the audios. Okay, then in the month of June, we were with the PPT. Now, slowly, we are coming face to face, and I hope in the next few months we will be back in the school all together. Okay, so now we will move to our today's topic, and the topic is new poem, How to Tell Wild Animals. Now, the title of this poem itself is a very long and curious poem. Okay, the writer, the poet here wants to tell us that why the people want to know about wild animals and how they are able to identify the different types of wild animals. Okay, so that only we are going to learn today in this very interesting poem. So let's begin. First, we will have a short description about the poet, and then introduction of the lesson, and then we'll move to the explanation. Got it? So let's go. The topics which we are going to cover in this poem, we will see that first it is about the poet, then introduction of the poem, explanation of the poem stanza wise, and with the literary devices too. Okay, so we will begin the poem with a short description about the poet. Caroline Wells. She was born in the year 1862 and she expired in the year 1942. She was an American author and a poet. She was the daughter of William E. and Anna Wells. She was a writer of poems, mysteries, children's literature, and other humorous pieces. Caroline Wells was an American writer who was famous for books based on mystery. Her famous works are At the Sign of the Sphinx, then The Jingle Book, The Story of Betty, and many more. She was born on June 18th in the year 1862 at Rahway, New Jersey, United States, and she expired on March 26th, year 1942. Okay, so this was a short description about the poet. Now let's move to the introduction of the poem, How to Tell Wild Animals. Now, in the poem, the poet has explained the characteristics of various wild animals in a very funny way. Now, she has used language in a way that it generates humor. Humor means a fun type of expression we can see here. She is introducing the reader to various kinds of wild animals. For example, Asian lion, Bengal tiger, bear, etc. And explaining each of the animals in a very humorous way, in a very funny way. Okay, so this is what the poem is going to tell us. The poem is divided into 6 stanzas and each stanza is having 6 lines. So we will see the first stanza. If ever you should go by chance to jungles in the east, and if there should to you advance a large and tawny beast, if he roars at you as you're dying, you will know it is the Asian lion. So this was the first stanza. Now in this one new word is there, tawny. So what do you mean by tawny? It is yellowish brown color. Now the poet is telling the readers that how they can recognize various animals in the jungles of the east side. So in the first stanza she says that if the reader comes across an animal whose skin is yellowish in color, yellowish brown in color, and if it roars at him so strongly that he can die out of fear, it means that he has encountered an Asian lion. She has humorously explained the Asian lion which could kill a person with its roar. Okay, so if anybody come across an Asian lion, you will hear its roar, its dangerous frightening roar, and from that roar you can come to know that it is a lion. Okay, so the poet has described this animal in this way. Now we will move to the literary devices. First we will see it is rhyme scheme. So rhyme scheme, which it is here, ABCC, means in the lines you can see chance, it is rhyming with advance, east, it is rhyming with beast, and dine, it is rhyming with line. Okay, so the rhyme scheme here is AB, AB, CC. Now next poetic device is enjambment, and you already know it that when there is no punctuation mark with the continuation of the sentence, it comes under enjambment. So here you can see in the lines, and if there, the first line of your poem, if there ever you should go by chance to jungles in the east. So in the first line, no punctuation mark is observed, so it comes under enjambment. Okay, now next is inversion. So inversion, it is a literary technique in which the normal order of words is reversed in order to achieve a particular effect of emphasis. For example, if we take the example here, the soldier strong. What do you understand from this? The soldier strong, that the soldier is strong. Okay, but we usually say strong soldier. But in inversion, the words are reversed and it goes the soldier strong. Okay, shouts the policeman. How we take this sentence? The policeman shouts, but in inversion, we will take it as shouts the policeman. So the words are reversed here. So it comes under inversion. Okay. Next poetic device it is assonance, and you are very well known with this poetic device. It is the use of vowel sound O. For example, it is given you should go, should to, you roads. Means O sound, it is again repeated. This is a vowel sound and it comes under assonance. Now next is allusion. Now what do you mean by allusion? It is again one of the new device. It is a reference to a famous thing, place, species of animal, etc. And in the poem you will see ancient lion. I'll explain you in detail little this poetic device. It is a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, idea of historical, and it does not describe a person which the poet or which the person is wanting to refer. It is just passing a comment. We will see with the help of another example. For example, don't act as a Romeo in front of her. Now, Romeo is a character in Romeo and Juliet, but here the writer has used to present just a comment. He is passing a comment to the person and is telling that person that don't act as a Romeo in front of her. Okay, so when we are referring some person indirectly and with the help of historical ideas वगैरह, so it comes under allusion. Okay, second stanza. Or if sometime when roaming round a noble wild beast greets you with black stripes on a yellow ground, just notice if he eats you. The simple rule may help you learn the Bengal tiger to discern. So now two new words you can see in this stanza. First is noble and second is discern. Now what do you mean by noble? From a high family, from a noble family, and discern means to recognize, to identify. Okay. Now here the poet tells us that she want to explain that an animal that roams in the jungle and it belongs to a royal clan, royal family, royal tribe, and the color of its skin is yellowish with black strips. She again says that if you notice that he kills you and eats you up, then this means that you have surely seen a Bengal tiger. She also tells us that she has used here dark humor to explain how a tiger looks like, because once a person has been eaten up by a wild animal, there is no use in determining which wild animal is that. So if you come across a wild animal with black strips on its yellow skin, then you have to notice that this animal is Bengal tiger. Understood? Poetic device. First it is rhyme scheme, and the rhyme scheme it goes like this: A B A B C C. It is followed as round crown you learn discern. Okay, so the rhyme scheme is here A B A B C C. Now next poetic device is alliteration, repetition of consonant sound R at start of two or more closely connected words. And you can see the repetition of R, this sound, it is repeated in the word roaming round. Got it? And the next is assonance. Again, use of vowel sound O, it is repeated here. The sentence, or if sometime when roaming around. So you can notice here the O sound, the vowel O sound is repeated in these following words. So it is an assonance. Now we will move to the third stanza of this poem. If strolling forth a beast you vive, whose hide with spots is peppered, as soon as he has leapt on you, you will know it is the leopard. It will do no good to roar with pain, he will only lip and lip again. New words of this stanza. Strolling, it means walking casually. Then forth, it means forward. Then hide, it is the skin of animal. Peppered, here it means the spots which you can notice on the body of the leopard. And leapt means jump towards someone. We will see the explanation. Here the poet says that if you are casually walking in a jungle, then you will meet an animal who has a skin with spots on it. And this animal is so fast that it will leap, it will jump on you at once, which means that it will jump, it will frighten you, it will make you afraid. And this jumping is an indication that it is none other than the leopard. Okay, so moreover the poet wants to add that if you will cry out in pain, it is not going to be of any use, as it will keep on jumping on you. So in this stanza the poet has explained the characteristics of a leopard, that how it jumps on its prey and it kills the prey at last. Okay, so whenever you notice a peppered spots animal, so you will identify that it is nothing but a leopard, and the jumping action of this animal again will make you notice that it is a dangerous leopard and it is going to attack you. Okay, we will go to the poetic device of this stanza. First it is rhyme. So rhyme scheme here it is A B C C, and it is followed with the examples with the words given in the stanza. They are view, you, peppered, leopard, and pain gain. So this was the rhyme scheme in the stanza third. Now we'll move to the next poetic devices. It is alliteration. Here we know that use of consonant sound H in the beginning of two words he has. It is repeated, so it comes under alliteration. Now here one new poetic device you will learn. It is poetic license. Now what do you mean by poetic license? Which device it is? It is a device in this a liberty, a freedom is given to the poet to change the spellings in order to create rhyme or rhythm in a poem. For example, here he has used leapt instead of leaped. Okay, means the spelling. What is the spelling of leap? L-E-A-P, and the past form is leapt. Okay, but here he has not used the letter A. So why? To give a rhythm to the poem. And when a poet gives like this rhythm to the poem and he changes the spellings, so this comes under poetic license. Got it? Now next is repetition. Use of leap, this word it is repeated in the last line, so it comes under repetition. And then we go next, it is assonance. Here use of vowel sound O, it is repeated. For example, strolling forth, you, who, spot, do, no good, to roar. All in this all words you will notice that O sound is repeated, and O is a vowel, so it comes under assonance. And last it is consonance. Again use of he will, that is a consonant, it is repeated. He will only leap and leap. Okay, so like this it comes under consonants. Now we will move to the fourth stanza. If when you are walking round your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very hard, be sure it is a bear. If you have any doubts, I guess he will give you just one more caress. Okay, so now here the fourth paragraph, fourth stanza tells us that if you are walking in the lawn area of your house and suppose you meet a creature which hugs you tightly, so you just imagine that it is a bear. Now the poet further adds that if you are still in doubt regarding the animal, the easiest way is that he will keep hugging and touching you very much, and very gently he will hug you. So this act of this animal will make you sure about its identity, and you will come to know that it is a bear. Okay, so this was the explanation of this stanza. You have to be careful with this creature. If suddenly an animal hugs you tightly, so you have to recognize that this is a bear. Okay, now here two new words you can see. First is yard. So what do you mean by yard? It is a backyard or the lawn area of a house. And second is caress. So what do you mean by caress? It is a gentle touch. If a person is gently touching you, so it comes under caress. It is the meaning caress. Okay. Now poetic device of this stanza. First it is rhyme scheme. Again it is we can see here A B A B C C. It is followed with the words yard, herd, there, bear, gaze, caress. Okay, so these are the rhyming words and it comes under this rhyme scheme. Now next is enjambment. Again you can see the continuation of a sentence to the next line. The lines are if you were walking. Okay, if you were walking round your yard, you meet a creature there. So in the first line, no punctuation mark is there, so it comes under enjambment. After that, you can see alliteration, use of W sound when walking. Here you can see W, the sound is repeated with the word when and walking. And again, use of H sound also you can notice who, hugs. In the word who, it is H sound is there, and in hugs again H sound is repeated, so it comes under alliteration. And one more is there, B sound is also repeated, be, beer. So all these words comes under alliteration. Okay, and then we come to assonance. Use of vowel E means meet a creature there. In this words you can see the vowel E is repeated, so it comes under assonance. Got it? Now we will move to the next stanza. Though to distinguish beast of prey or novice might nonplus the crocodile you always mean. Tell from the hyena thus, hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. Very interesting stanza it is. First, we will see the new word novice. Now, what do you mean by novice? It means someone new to a job, okay, a new person. And non-plus, it means to be confused. You are confused, so you are a non-plus person, okay. So now here the poet says that for someone who is new to the job of recognizing animals, means a person he don't know how to recognize animals and is first time coming to recognize an animal. So it will be a puzzle for that person to recognize the animals that hunt other animals for their food. Means this person he will be little confused that how to recognize an animal, how to recognize those animals who hunt other animals for their food. So here the poet tries to help out the reader by telling the difference between two animals. He says that hyenas will be smiling, okay, whereas if it is a crocodile, it is always in tears. Both of these animals are dangerous, so don't go on their tears or on their smiley face. Both are dangerous animals, okay. Means it is not an easy job for an inexperienced person to distinguish beast, animal of prey. He will be confused in distinguishing these two animals, hyena and crocodile, because he may not be able to identify who is hyena and who is crocodile, how it attacks. So here hyenas are very deceptive. They will attack their victims with smiles and kill them. On the other hand, crocodiles will pretend to be weeping, to be crying before attacking and killing their victims. So this is the difference, and the newcomer it is confused to differentiate between these two animals. Okay. Now poetic device of this stanza we will see. First it is rhyme scheme, and the rhyme scheme goes A B C C. It is followed with the words pray may. Non plus thus, smiles, crocodiles. So these are the words which are rhyming with each other and it comes under rhyme scheme. Okay. Then comes alliteration, use of consonant sound, and it is noted here in novice and non plus. Then again use of th sound, the and thus. This it is repeated here. So it comes under alliteration. Then we can see here again enjambment is also there. Again continuation of sentence to the next line without any punctuation mark. Which line it is? The. Okay, you can see here the to distinguish beast of prey, a novice, might, non plus. So first line it is continuing with the second line without any punctuation mark. So it comes under enjambment. Got it? Now we will move to the last stanza of this poem. The true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. If this is nothing on the tree, it's the chameleon you see. Now students, do you know what is chameleon? Yes, you might be knowing. It is a small animal which changes its color according to the surrounding area and just save itself. Okay, so it is a peculiar type of animal which has the peculiar quality of changing colors according to the surrounding in order to save itself from the enemy. Okay, so it is a chameleon. Now here what the poet wants to tell us, the poet says that the next animal which we have to recognize is chameleon, and it is a very small creature, very small animal. It looks like a lizard, but the difference between the two is that chameleon does not have ears and wings. Moreover, the poet says that chameleon has the ability to change its color according to the surface on which it is sitting. I told you that chameleon is a particular type of animal which has a peculiar quality of changing color according to its surrounding area. Okay, so this is difference between the lizard and the chameleon. And if you see the lizard, it don't have any quality or any ability to change the colors. Okay, so therefore if you see on a tree sitting this animal, this small creature, so it is what? It is a chameleon and it has the ability to change color. You will notice that this small creature is changing its color. Okay, so this was the explanation of this stanza. Hope you must have understood all these stanzas very well. Short summary we will go. So you will just recap what it is given in all the stanzas in a short note. Okay. But before going to the summary, we will have the poetic device of this stanza too, and then we'll finish off this poem. Okay. So first poetic device, it is rhyme scheme, A B A B C C, and it is followed with the word small all, thing wing, tree C. These words are rhyming, so they come under the rhyme scheme A B A B C C. And second is alliteration, use of H sound. Again you can see in the words he, hasn't. Here H sound is repeated, so it comes under alliteration. And last is consonants, use of G sound. This G sound is repeated in the word single and wing. Okay, you can see the G sound, it is there in the word single and wing, so it comes under consonants. Consonants, again it is a consonant sound. Okay, assonance it is a vowel sound, and consonants it is a consonant sound. So G is a consonant here and it is repeated in the word single and wing. Now we will watch a motivational video on animals. Summary of the poem. The poet is describing the various wild animals. These animals are very dangerous and she has introduced them one by one in a very funny way. First of all, she tells us about an ancient lion. She says that if you are visiting the jungles of the east and there you see an animal which has tawny skin and he roars so loudly that you will die out of fear, this means that you have seen an ancient lion. Next in the line is the Bengal tiger that she has explained to be a royal animal that at once attacks and kills a man. She says by adding humor that if this beautiful black striped animal kills you and eats you, then you have surely met a Bengal tiger. Now see the humorous line here. The poet is telling that when the tiger eats you up, then you come to know that you have met a Bengal tiger. So it is a humorous line. Okay. After this, she says that if the reader met an animal that has black spotted skin and it at once jumps on him, then it means that the reader has met a leopard. Okay. Moreover, she says that if one will cry out in pain, it may be of no use as the leopard will not stop attacking him. Then she moves on to the bear that she says will hug very tightly. This is the way to recognize a bear as it kills a person by hugging him very tightly. So she says that the bear will continue to hug us tightly and that is the only way to recognize him. After this, she asks a question to the readers that do they know how to recognize beasts that hunt their prey? Here she explains about hyenas, which she thinks have a smiling face, and the crocodiles that have tears in their eyes. This can be seen when they are killing their prey. The last one in the list is the creature which doesn't have ears and wings just like a lizard. Only this can help you differentiate between a lizard and the chameleon. She further says that the chameleon has a quality of changing its color according to the color of the surface. So, to explain this, she says that if the reader looks at the tree and if he can only see the tree, this means that there is a chameleon sitting on it which has already turned its color to brown just like the branch of the tree. So this was the end of the summary, and see, you have to revise it once again so that it will be perfectly known to you what the poet wants to tell you through this poem. Okay. Now we will move towards our textual question answers. But before that, students, I just want to remind you that complete your notebooks, because if you not complete it on time, it will be go on pending and pending and pending. Now see how we have collected the test files. Test file submission date was given to you, so same notebook date will be also given to you, and as you know that notebook carries marks. Okay, so you have to complete your work on time. Don't take any tension, don't take any stress, but be punctual. If regularity is there, your work is done on time. Okay, so keep in mind that whatever work it is provided to you, please complete it on time, and if any of the doubts, kindly clear it. We are arranging the doubt clearing sessions, so in that you can tell your doubts, you can clear your doubts. And one more thing I want to tell you that when you are reading the answers, please keep a textbook with you. Okay, so that you will understand which topic is from which point of the lesson, so it will make you easy to deal with the question answers also. Okay, so keep textbook with you while you are on the online sessions, so that you can have a look in the textbook, and at that same time you have to note down the doubts. Okay, start the habit of noting down the doubts at that time only and that particular session, so it will be easy for you to give the doubts in the feedback box when the teacher is demanding, and when the doubt clearing session is going on, so it will be easy for you to remember. If the doubts are ready on your note, you can just ask that question to the teacher and you can clear your doubt at the same time. So please note down whatever the difficulties you are getting in the lesson while the teacher is teaching you. Okay, so you have to just clear it with your teacher. Okay, so now we will move to the textbook question answers. Thinking about the poem. Question number 1. Does dying really rhyme with lion? Can you say it in such a way that it does? So answer, no. Dying does not rhyme with lion. It is for this reason that the poet has used dying so that we will pronounce it in a rhythmic way and it will rhyme with lion. Dying, lion. Okay, so here poetic license is used. We have discussed this poetic device in our poetic devices that topic, that poet has to use poetic license, and in this he can change the spelling of a word. He can spell out some of the spellings without some of the letters, and he can use those words in the poem to give it a rhythmic form. So that's why here dying. What is the spelling of dying? D-Y-I-N-G. But here he has used as dying for lion. So that's why it is a rhythmic effect which is given by the poet to this answer. Got it? Second question. How does the poet suggest that you identify the lion and the tiger? When can you do so according to him? Okay, it is a beautiful question. See the answer. The poet suggests that if a large and tawny beast in the jungle in the east advances towards you, means it comes towards you, then it is an Asian lion. We can identify it when it roars at us while we are dying with fear. When while roaming we come across a wild beast that is yellow in color with black stripes, it is a Bengal tiger. We can identify it when it eats us. So in this way, the poet suggests us that we can identify these both creatures. Okay, now we will move to the third question. Do you think the words leapt and leap in the third stanza are spelled correctly? Why does the poet spell them like this? Yes, again the answer is no. The words leapt and leap are spelled incorrectly. So what is the spelling of leap? L-E-A-P. And what do you mean by leap? Leap means to pounce, to jump. Okay, and the past form of leap is leapt. L-E-A-P-T. So both words are miscorrect here, means they are spelled incorrectly. Their correct spellings are leapt and leap respectively. The poet has spelled them like this in order to maintain the rhythm of the poem. Again here poetic device which it is used, poetic license. This poetic device is used here to give a rhythm form to the poem. And when these words are spelled in this way, they rhyme with the first part of leopard, thus giving emphasis to leopard in each line. Okay, so leap and leapt, both words are incorrectly. They are spelled incorrectly. Okay. Now question number 4, it is a self-attempt and thinking based question. You have to just read that question and attempt it on your own. You have to express some of the expressions and popular ideas about wild animals in your own languages. For example, if a bear is taught for bear hug, so it is a friendly and strong hug, and here crocodiles are said to weep and hyenas are thought to laugh when they are attacking their victims, their prey, their food. So such similar expressions if there are, or some popular ideas if there are in your own language, so just you have to express it with your friends or share it with your friends. Okay, so now we will move to the next question. It is, look at the line, a novice might nonplus. Nonplus. How would you write this correctly? Why is the poet's incorrect line better in the poem? Again, we will see the answer. The line a novice might nonplus can be correctly written as a novice might to be nonplussed. Okay, the spelling here nonplus, it is misspelled and it should be written as nonplussed. The poet's incorrect line is better in the poem as it maintains the rhyme scheme of the poem by writing it incorrectly. Nonplus rhymes with thus. So that's why it is written in incorrect way. The spelling is spelled as here incorrectly. Okay, actually the spelling of nonplus, it is nonplussed, and the poet has written here as nonplus for rhyming with the word thus. Got it? So now again here you see the poetic license is used by the poet. Means he has the right to change the spelling of a word, okay, to rhyme it with the other word. Now question number 6 and question number 7, it is self-attempt questions. Now here what the poet wants to tell you, that he has used poetic license in this above poem. So same like this poetic devices are used in other language poem. So if you find such type of poems in your own languages, whether it is in Hindi, Marathi or any other language, you have to find out, and you have to share it with your friends. You have to sing it and recite the poem with your friends. Okay, again he is telling the seventh question that many humorous and funny type of poems are also there. Okay, some lines are humorous in the poem. So such type of poems, if you come across in your language or in other language, please share it with your friends and sing the poems, enjoy the poems. Okay, so these two questions, it is self attempt question. You have to attempt it and share your ideas, express your ideas with your friends. Okay, so now here we have completed the poem. Hope you must have understood the poem. See, one humble request is there from my side, that today itself only note down all the doubts that has come in this poem for you. Okay, and in the next doubt clearing session, surely we are going to solve all the doubts. So you make a habit of writing down the doubts at that time only of the topic which is taught by the teacher, so that it will not be a burden for you that in that doubt clearing session what doubts I have to ask. Okay, so it will not go like that. So from now only you start writing the doubts, and I hope that you will clear all the doubts with the teachers, with the subject teachers in the doubt clearing sessions. Okay, so this was my request. So in the next session, in the doubt clearing session especially, please come up with lots of doubts of this poem. We will surely solve it together. Okay, so thank you, have a nice day and take care. Be safe at home, and goodbye.